Jose Mourinho is always a headliner manager. Whether he's winning trophies or he's making shock moves like he recently did signing for Fenerbahce, he is the special one. But today we have placed him back at his first job in a second-tier Portuguese side. And I've rolled his age back to what it was when he first got himself a manager's job, and we're going to see what he does on this year's Football Manager with a few set challenges. Will we see him lift Premier League titles with Chelsea? Or maybe even replicate his treble win at Inter Milan? Will he land some of the biggest jobs in the world again? Or will he flop at some of the others? Well, let's see what these challenges are that he needs to complete, including 3 domestic league titles across 3 different countries, a Champions League trophy, and maybe the hardest of them all, either the Euros or the World Cup. But remember, we're not controlling his destiny. This is down to the FM gods to decide. Now, here he is at the beginning of his campaign at União de Leiria. I'm going to really butcher that name, I'm sorry. But turns out it was actually where he actually started his playing career. And I know he wasn't a very good player, but he did manage them as his first managerial job. The Benfica one, I don't know why it says manager, because I'm pretty certain he wasn't the actual Benfica manager. But this is the job that he got before he went to Porto. And I've kept his history in there so we can kind of remind ourselves his journey and compare it. What you'll also notice is that he is still really bloody good, but I have toned it down ever so slightly. So on staff details, he was up like 160 or something. And this is just after a year, by the way. He's already up to 153 because I believe I put him at 140. So, but he has the potential of going to 184. What I have done, though, to stop him from just leaving the club at the end of his contract, I've reduced his reputation, because that's one of the problems that I have found is when he still has his normal reputation, he just darts as soon as his contract runs out. But this might give him the opportunity to stay and actually build his new career here in Portugal. So let's see what happens, because in the first season, he did really well. They finished in 5th place. They were in the playoffs. They just didn't quite get there. So we got to be kind of happy that, I mean, actually, there's not a playoff. Is there not a playoff in this? I don't know. Maybe not. I think it's literally the top 3. You have to finish in the top 3. So let's see what happens then. He's got to finish in the top 3 if he wants to get promoted. He's got a 2-year deal. Let's see if he stays on. Now, a few years later, and he did indeed sign a new contract. He is still here at União, however, he is now wanted by Estoril. Now, União never got out of the division. In fact, they started slipping down the table. They're actually in like 13th now, which is quite bad because before that, they did all right. They actually, competition-wise, started to do quite well in the domestic league. They finished in 4th place after his first season in 5th, and I thought, hello, we could be in for a promotion next season. Nah, 9th and then 13th. So Jose Mourinho right now might be wanting to move club, and this could be a perfect opportunity because his contract is about to expire within the next month. Whether he stays in Portugal or goes abroad, I don't know. I've got a lot of leagues loaded, but yeah, I'm kind of curious whether he does go abroad or not. You might also notice that I gave him a 4-4-2 diamond as his preferred formation. That's because that's the tactic he used when Porto won the Champions League. So I thought, that's a nice little throwback. Okay, a year later, and I was correct. He did move club. However, he stayed in Portugal at Rio Ave. So Jose Mourinho has got his second club. Rio Ave is not as good as, of course, going to Porto, but they are also in the same division. And to be fair, not exactly higher up the league than them. So Rio Ave actually finished in 12th place. União got themselves relegated, which just goes to show how good of a job he was actually doing there. But what I will say is Jose Mourinho has already changed his tactic to a 4-3-3 DM wide. Interesting, and his attributes have started to increase as well, so he's up to 170 current ability already. Once his reputation starts to increase, I can definitely see him going abroad. Now, I imagine when a manager moves country to a new club, or maybe they're traveling with their team to a different country, they're going to have some problems when they're trying to keep up with their day-to-day work. Maybe they're going to need a VPN. And as you know, I've been using NordVPN for a long time now, and look how quick it is to connect back to the UK before I even finish my sentence. If I went abroad, now I can go back to whatever I could do in the UK while I'm abroad. Now, before I explain even more of the advantages of NordVPN, including some of the best stuff that they've got on here in terms of protection, remember if you go to nordvpn.com/OmegaLuke, use my promo code, there's going to be a link at the top of the description, you can get an extra 4 months on top of a 2-year plan. And a 2-year plan is so cheap, it's the cost of less than a coffee a day for a whole month. Which is why, to me, it's such an obvious thing to pick up for any of your protection while you're browsing the web, because if you look at this, the threat protection, the web protection, you can view the activity, all the things it's helping me prevent and block, and just the websites alone that I've been on recently. Look how many blocked threats there are just from Google and YouTube. How many of you are using Google or YouTube? You're probably using YouTube right now. NordVPN can block any threats from those websites for you. Now, obviously, there's tons of other benefits, such as, you know, watching Netflix from a different country. Everybody likes to see what the US Netflix has. They always seem to have better shows. And if you know how to use a VPN network to watch 3 p.m. kickoffs, then there's obviously that advantage too. Not to mention, this is a risk-free thing. If you want your money back after 30 days because you don't think NordVPN is giving you enough value, you're dumb if that's the case, then you can. NordVPN gives you a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. But remember, I am your internet daddy right now. Do you remember that analogy? Yes, when you had the birds and the bees talk with your parents and they told you, hey, if things get a little bit woohoo, you know what to do. You need to use protection. While you're on the internet, it's exactly the same. Use protection. Go to nordvpn.com/OmegaLuke. I've even stuck a link at the top of the description and in the comments if you're just that lazy that you can click right now and get an extra 4 months free on top of a 2-year plan. Risk-free. You're welcome. And thank you very much to NordVPN for always having my back on the internet. Season after, though, we're still at Rio Ave. However, we're promoted because they finished in 3rd place. Now, Benfica B actually are champions, but they can't go into the top division anyway, so which means we just automatically qualify. So thank you very much, Benfica B. But the following season, Jose Mourinho has been sacked, so that isn't good. His first sacking, only in his 2nd job, and it is because he lost the confidence of the dressing room. And that was back in November, after getting promoted in the top division. He is still without a job right now, so let's see if he can find one pretty soon, because else, well, that's just going to be the end of his career. Well, it didn't take long. Jose Mourinho is the new manager of Famalicão, who are actually in the top division, and he's done quite well with them, finishing in 6th place. That was until he was sacked just short of a year into the job because of a poor league position. But he found his 4th job, and again, it's in Portugal at Vitória de Guimarães, and he's actually doing quite well with them. They finished in 3rd place. And that is very good in the Portuguese league, which he continued to follow up the following season in 3rd place yet again. Jose Mourinho right now is really outshining every other manager in Portugal. And that was enough for him to land a role in international management, because Jose Mourinho is the new manager of Portugal, which of course means he can target one of those international trophies he needs to win for the challenge. However, his first international tournament didn't go so well when Turkey knocked Portugal out 1-0 in the Euros quarter-final. But in the following World Cup, Jose Mourinho's Portugal went through 2-1 in the 2nd round against Saudi Arabia. In the round of 16, knocked out Ghana 1-0, which was the same result against Italy in the quarter-finals, but also the same result that they lost in the semis against the Netherlands. And it was after that World Cup that Jose Mourinho resigned from international management to take another international management job, because Jose Mourinho is now the manager of Spain. Who's seen that coming? He just resigned to take over the role as well. But this move turned out to be genius from the special one, because Jose Spain went all the way to the final and lifted the UEFA European Championship, meaning that he has completed his first challenge, and the challenge that I thought would be the hardest, in lifting an international trophy. But it doesn't stop there. Not only did he get revenge against the Netherlands, he then left Spain and got himself a new job. As Jose knows, he now needs to win some domestic trophies, so he resigned as the manager of Spain to take a job at RB Leipzig. And straight away, although he hasn't won the German Bundesliga, he has won the DFB Pokal. So with an international management trophy won and a challenge complete, it's on to the next. However, by the looks of it, I do feel like the Leipzig job is the right job, maybe at the wrong time. You probably can guess why it's the wrong time. That's because Bayern Munich are dominating the Bundesliga. They've won it back-to-back years since Jose's been here, and they didn't even lose a game this season. It's going to be very difficult for Jose Mourinho to actually manage to win the league this season, although his reputation is so high now that you might expect him to maybe attract jobs from other places. Which is exactly what has happened, because Jose Mourinho is currently wanted by PSG. And taking the PSG job probably means it's a guaranteed trophy for you to pick up in one season and then just, make it really bad the next year and you can move on to another club. But he doesn't even take the PSG job. Nope. Instead, Jose Mourinho is the new manager of Manchester City. So if you can compare Jose Mourinho's career, what he did in real life, obviously from Portugal to Chelsea, was kind of like what the Man City job is like right now in terms of obviously having the best infrastructure and the most money coming into the club. But the actual role or pathway that he took in this so far from, 4 different Portuguese clubs with kind of very little success until he got to Vitória, which was like just overachieving, not really winning anything, to international management and actually winning a Euros within 3 or 4 years, to then Leipzig winning a cup but not being able to outdo Bayern Munich. He's now landed the Man City job. And Man City are really good. I mean, they've just finished second in the Premier League to Brighton, but sometimes Brighton just have like a freak couple of years. They've done really well. Man City have probably won it a lot, and they have indeed. So he's coming to this club as manager. He's probably going to win the league very soon. He's already won both the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. It's actually kind of shocking that he didn't win the treble. It did take another 2 seasons, but he finally won the Premier League with Manchester City as the manager. And he adds another trophy to his cabinet. Of course, one of his 3 domestic league trophies. But you need to remember, to complete that challenge, he's going to have to win the league in 2 other nations as well. That's not just 3 Premier Leagues. That's 3 different leagues across Europe. It's fair to say, though, he's also at the perfect club for the other challenge, winning the Champions League. Because he's at a club that he can guide to back-to-back Premier League titles. And it's not like he's far off. He just took Man City to a semi-final finish, only to be eliminated by Arsenal, who went on to beat Brighton in the final. Surely it's only a matter of time before he can lift that trophy, and then potentially maybe he looks abroad, because he's kind of got not a lot of years left. He is like in his early 60s. Well, in fact, it was just the following season where they knocked out Brighton in the semi-final and defeated Newcastle in the final 1-0, just like a Jose Mourinho performance would be, to lift the Champions League, which means he is a Champions League winner and actually won a treble this season with a Champions League, FA Cup and a Carabao Cup. And if it wasn't for Brighton's goal difference, they would be celebrating the quadruple right now. So that's 2 of the main challenges down, but my biggest fear is that he's done too well for Man City to sack him. And if he's not going to leave to go to another big club in a different country, how is he going to win the other 2 domestic leagues? Now, I've gone a few more years. Jose Mourinho is now 69, which is a naughty number, but he's still at Manchester City, and I can see why they're not really sacking him. And okay, he's not dominating the league or anything. He's won 1 Premier League or 2 Premier League titles since winning the Champions League in the 3 years or so that he's been there, but not much else. But why would they get rid of him? Like, there's just no reason to, and he's not going to leave. Maybe there's no other big enough jobs, and Jose Mourinho has a 5-star reputation now, and he's at a 5-star reputation club. We all know the AI kind of does managers on reputation, although you do see some funny ones every now and then. I can't see him completing this challenge just off the back of that. Also, he switched to a 4-4-2. That's like his 5th different tactic so far. I like that. Sure enough, my biggest concerns come true. My prediction was correct. Jose Mourinho is retiring. He has been at Manchester City for 10 seasons. And he's had a fantastic time, don't get me wrong, leaving as Champions League winners. So yes, trophy-wise, he didn't manage to get the 3 in 3 different domestic leagues, but he did get at least 3 Premier Leagues and 2 Champions Leagues, not to mention his Euros win while he was at Spain. Overall, that is a fantastic career. But do you think it is as good or better as his real-life career? Because there were some flops in there at the beginning compared to Jose's career in real life, where the flops have been at the end. Let me know down in the comments section. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you check out NordVPN in the comments or at the top of the description. And check out this video because I took on the Pentagon Challenge.